when it started, but I've heard this over the last several months a lot. But you get in these conversations sometimes, and in these conversations you hear this statement. Folks get in a group of people, and they'll tell you, hey, this ain't all about you.
Right.
You ever heard that before?
Right.
I've heard that a lot. You know, this ain't all about you. But I want to preach to you today that it's all about you.
Yeah.
It's all about you. And I want to tell you what the Lord began to show me in this yesterday afternoon, evening, today, this morning. And the Lord will help me to preach to you today. Sometimes we need to hear, Brother Greg, it's just about you.
Right.
Sometimes we need to know, Brother David, that no matter what's going on around us, it's just about you. And sometimes I need to get down before the Lord, Brother Brandon, and say, now, Lord, I need you to pay attention to me today because I'm in need of something. And he says, Steve, today I'm going to stop what I'm doing because it's just about you. So, hey, sometimes we get in the middle of things and it doesn't seem to be going our way. And the Lord will say, hey, it's okay because today is just about you. And I want to try my best to give you this as quick as I can and let you know today that it's just about you. And I found that in this scripture. If I can just kind of lay a little groundwork here, then I'll go where the Lord directed me to. I would begin to read this and I begin to look. And here's these four men sitting down in front of this gate. And they knew that I can't go inside because if I go inside, I'm unclean and I'm going to get killed inside. If I enter into that city, we got no hope. But if I enter in that city, inside the city, there's famine there anyway. So I'm going to die, just starve to death. But you know what? If we sit right here, then we just got no hope at all. There's nothing we can do. So one of them, I just have to believe you would bear with my imagination. But I can kind of hear them sitting there talking. And one of them saying, now look, boys, we can sit here and just whine and cry until we die. But we got a chance at least if we go inside that camp where the Syrians are. If we get in there and they kill us, what have we lost? And we hadn't lost anything. We hadn't gained anything, but we hadn't lost anything. So I can see them as they gather up enough nerve maybe when the sun starts to go down red and they start to walk inside that camp and they begin to look around inside that camp. And I know you know this story, so you heard what I read to you. It said that the Lord made them hear a noise of great chariots and great horses, and it scared them off. You know why? Because the day is just about these four lepers. Today, all it is what the Lord heard of as they began to talk to him outside that city. And the Lord said, boys, today it's just about you. It ain't about the big army. It ain't about the big multitude of people. It ain't about how great you are. Here you are, lepers men, maybe some of them missing parts of their bodies. One's ear may have been gone. One's fingers may have fallen off. One's nose may be missing. But today, no matter what you look like, no matter where you've been, what you've been involved in, today is just about you. And when they entered into that, oh, this may be too loud. I'm just going to tell you something. When they entered in that camp, I believe they began to look around and they said, hey, I don't know what's happened here. Just look, there's a tent over there. And look, the fire's still burning over there. Look, the beasts are still tied up over here. Just look around. Can you imagine? Hey, look, now, why would anybody leave this? You know why it is? Because the Lord began to stir up something in the camp. Said, hey, today this ain't about you. But it's about these four men of that kind. And they may not look so good. They may not be the smartest men. They may not be the most educated. They may not be the most strong and powerful. But today it's just about them. I mean, they looked inside there and said, hey, look here. Look disciples and shook them, said, hey, can't you watch with me but 1 hour? And he went back there again, began to pray again. And he come back and said, hey, Lord, wake up, boys. We're supposed to be praying.
Right.
But I believe he went back out there one time, looked on and said, you know what? Just go ahead and sleep. I've got more important things to worry about today than worry about you sleeping. And he walked back in there. Ooh, Lord have mercy. Here's where I begin to notice something is, Brother Ed. I can see him crawl up in there maybe beside one of those big old rocks in that ground. And he said, Father, if it be thy will, let this cup pass from me.
Right. Come on, buddy.
Can't you just see him? I believe the scripture said that he prayed until his sweat became as great drops of blood falling on the ground. But I can see him there mourning and suffering, knowing that just in a few hours they're on their way to come take me away. But today I believe right in the middle of that prayer, Greg, as he said, Father, if it be thy will, something began to stir up inside of it. If it be thy will, let this cup pass from me. But somewhere about that statement he said, now Lord, but if it goes, it's not your will, then just help me to be strong enough, because it ain't about me, but it's about all these people, and it's about all these that need me. It's about all this world that's out there today. You know what he's saying is, it's all about you, and it's all about you, and it's all about you. You know why? I almost may take this whatever it is. I found over the 14th chapter of John, right not long after that Jesus stood out there. You know this so well. You heard me say this often. Let not your hearts be troubled. If you believe in God, believe also in me. For in my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not true, I would have told you. But here's what I want you to know. He said, I'm going to prepare a place for you. That where I am, there you may be also. You know why? Because everything I'm doing today, it's all about you.
Help him,
And I was going to look over. And in the 18th chapter of John, I found a place where these kids sang this morning, where a man was standing in prison that deserved to be there and about to die. And all of a sudden, a crowd of people outside began to holler to release Barabbas. And can you imagine inside those walls of that jail that day? He's looking around saying, hey, is that my name they're hollering? How in the world can that be? And all of a sudden, they begin to open up that cell and let him out. I can see them walking him out and him wondering, how in the world can these people walk me back? And he walks past a man that's been beaten and torn all up. And he looks over on him and he said, Barabbas, you just go on, son, because you're the one I'm dying for today. Why did you see? It's all about you.
Bless your name.
I began to look over in the 19th chapter of John. And in the first verse, you know what I found is Pilate standing before Jesus. And this first verse of the 19th chapter of John says that they scorned him and they beat him. We looked this up a little bit yesterday, and they scourged him and they just beat him and beat him. You know what I begin to look on that is, and I begin to notice, some of you may have heard me say this before, they tied him up to a post, Greg, and they beat him across his back with what history tells us is a cat of nine tails, 39 stripes across his back. You know what? Can I tell you, I sat down and done some numbers on that one day, Brother David. That's 351 times that those things cut inside his back, on a man's back about 3 foot long. You know what that is? That means that every inch of his back hands bleeding, but in all the glory that comes from the Father, I can just see it running over and over in his mind, Michael. It's all about you, son. Woo!
Yes.
Help us, Holy Ghost. I kept reading. I jumped down about the 17th verse, and in the 17th verse it said they strapped on a cross to him, and he gathered up that cross. And they began to carry that cross up there till he fell down. You know this story. And one named Simon would receive him and run over and help him. I can just see him as he picks him up, that he looks up so maybe looking so weak and saying, hey, I'm just carrying this for you today. I know I've got to hurry. I went on down to verse 24, and I watched there in the scripture as they laid there underneath the cross and cast lots for his clothes. Hey, you know what? Didn't mean anything to him. It's all about you today. In verse 26, I saw a place in there where he looked across to his mother and said, oh, behold thy son. Saw that hurt inside their eyes. In verse 28, I seen him as he cried out, oh, I'm thirsty, and I'm about to thirst. And in verse 29, I seen where they handed him up vinegar to drink. But in verse number 30, I watched as he looked out across the crowd in my mind, and I can see him saying, hey, it's finished. This is all for you. I've done everything you've seen today. I suffered everything that's come my way. I've taken this beating. I've been nailed to this cross. I've taken the persecution of the men and people involved that walk by today. And I've done it all just for you. I kept looking over the first chapter of Acts, and my mind went back to chapter 14. Before that, John, where it said, I'm going to prepare a place for you. In the first chapter of Acts, I found a place in there where the angel said, why ye men of Galilee, why stand ye here gazing? This same Jesus that you see going away, he's coming back again. I kept reading over in the first chapter number 2, and I said a little bit this last night, when the day of Pentecost was fully come, they were all in one accord in one place, and suddenly there came a sound from heaven as a rushing mighty wind, and it filled all the house where they were sitting, and cloven tongues like as fire set upon each of them, and they began to speak with other tongues as the Spirit gave the utterance. I kept on reading down in chapter number 2, and I began to look down there about 15 or 16 when Peter stepped out among them and said, hey, this is not drunk as you suppose. It is yet but the third hour of the day. But this is that which was prophesied by the prophet Joel. You know what he's saying is, it's all about you. I kept reading, and I looked over in the 3rd chapter of John, third John, the 2nd verse. He said, beloved, I wish above all things, Stephen made mention this last night, that ye should prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospereth. Hey, can I tell you, the Lord's got desires for you to do okay, and he's got desires for you to be healthy and to be strong, but he's got more desire that your soul be strong and that your soul be healthy. I kept reading. I looked over in the last chapter of Revelation. And you know me, if you know me very much, you know I love this. Some I don't even remember what to go around. Verse number 12 of chapter number 22. He said, behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me, to give every man according to his work shall be. Can I tell you today that it's all about you today? Everything you think you're going through, every tough day you struggled, every long night you cried through, every morning when you see the sun come up and you didn't even know how you made it to that time, and you wondered what today was going to bring. Can I tell you, Jesus is still standing there saying, hey, today it's all about you. If you need something, come unto me, all ye that are heavy. Come unto me, all ye that are know why? Because it's all about you.
Right.
How many times have you ever heard somebody say, hey, this ain't about you. This ain't about you. But hey, Jordan, today, it's all about you, son. Jesus did everything. Well, David, he done everything just for you. He suffered everything just for you. And he went through every torture and every torment every day just for you, Brother Rick. He's well along all those stripes he took on his back, Rick. You know why he did that? For the healings of this nation. You know what that tells me is? It's just for me.
Bless your name, Jesus.
I'm trying my best to hurry. I promise you. But the more I looked inside this thing, and the more I looked inside of it, and the more I looked, boy, I began to realize something inside there. That is Jesus suffered every day. As he went through days after days, or maybe I should say hours after hours of torture inside of Pilate's hall. All those times, every time they plucked his beard out, Brennan, it's just for you. Every time they spit on him, Michael, it's just for you. Every time they mocked him and tried to belittle him, it's just for you, Brother Doug. Every time that they drug him in and out of that cell and they made light of him and said, hey, every time, I don't know, I didn't go back and count them, I probably should have, but I know of at least 2 or 3 different times that Pilate stood before him and said, look, are you really the king of the Jews? And he wouldn't even make a statement. You know why? I believe at one time he just said, hey, you say. You know why? Because I'm all about you today. It ain't about me. I'm not here for myself. I'm not here for my own glory. But one of these days, all that glory will come back around, and every knee's going to bow, every tongue's going to confess that he's King of Kings and he's Lord of Lords. But on that day, it wasn't about him, but it's all about you. I could just see him in my mind standing before Pilate until Pilate finally got so irritated that he looked at him and said, don't you realize that I have the power to set you free or to crucify you? All of a sudden, it ain't about me or you now. You know what he told Pilate is, you have no power unless it come from above. You know what? It ain't about either one of us. Listen, the Lord says so. And here we are today. Guess what? The Lord sent me by here today to tell you, today is the day he's made it all about you. Whatever your need is, whatever you're struggling with, whatever times you find yourself crawling up in the closet all by yourself, wondering, God, would you ever hear me again? Whatever times you sat down beside your bed at night and said, oh God, will I ever make it past this? God, will I ever survive this time? Lord, will I ever be able to make it? When you woke up the next day, before your feet hit the ground, you said, oh God, I don't know if I can go through another day like yesterday. I don't know how I can make it. He said, hey, today is all about you. I've come by today just to deliver you, just to make you know that there's a sustaining power inside of the blood I still don't carry. There's a sustaining power that flows down in the upper room when the Holy Ghost comes. I'm glad to close.
Oh God. Thank you, Jesus. Oh God. Thank you, Lord. Bless the Lord. Thank you, Jesus. Oh God. Thank you.
Every now and then, Brennan, it's nice to hear somebody come by and say, hey, today is your day. We're going to make this all about you. Every so often, out Now let me tell you, this ain't gonna last forever, so let me tell you what it does. Every so often, a year or so rolled around from the day you guys got married. And I don't know how he does this or not, but so I hope you're not gonna let me down, obviously. But on that day, you begin to remember back. And you go, you know what? Now whatever you want to do today, we're going to make this day all about you. You know why? Because it's that special. I just told Stephen last week, I don't remember what day it was, not to do what I did. They started talking about all these one day about getting married. I said, son, make sure you don't do that in hunt season. That's how I know it don't always happen that way. Because now, after almost 22 years, for the last 7 years, we've not been hunting all day on my anniversary. So I have to find a different day to make that up. But you know what? Some don't that feel good when you get around the front and grab somebody and say, look, I just want you to know that anything you want to do today, whatever it is, that doesn't make me any difference. Right. Just whatever. Come on, me and you, we're going to spend the whole day together. And whatever we do is all about you. Isn't that good? Yeah. How many of you would just love to have that day? Wouldn't you just love to wake up tomorrow and you can paint and say, now look, today's all about you. We're not doing anything else. Say what you want to do. Well, man, I ain't going to ask you last time Sister Faith said that. But you know what? That's the same relationship that we have with the Lord. Right. Amen. And today, let me get up here where all of you can see me good. Today the Lord's saying, Jamil, it's all about you. I've known her a long time, and I know she likes the days it's all about her. But today the Lord's saying, it's all about you. It's all about you, and you, and you, you, and you, and you, and you, and all of you on this side. All the Lord's saying is come on, spend this day with me, and let me make it all about you. You know what I can just see in my mind is Barabbas walking by him that day. And him saying, Barabbas, don't worry, son. You go on home, because this is all about you. It's all about you. And if you need something from him today, he stopped by here to make this day all about you. As they're getting ready to sing, if you'll stand with me. Let me tell you what, we had a gentleman in our church used to say this. He said he's a big God. He can speak to everybody in this world, tell them something different at the exact same time. You know what he's doing is he's dealing with you personally today, and it's all about you. Come to these altars. Come on, it's all about you today. Hey, it don't matter who's kneeling down beside of you. It don't matter who's praying behind you. It don't matter what song they're singing.